Most people believe that other people have power over them. They are wrong. No one has power over you until you agree in 100 small ways every day that they do. The power was never theirs. The power was always yours, and you have been quietly signing it over, one glance, one thought, one reaction at a time, for so many years that you have forgotten it belongs to you. Understand this first, or nothing that follows will help you. Every person you feel controlled by is a person you have licensed to control you. The parent whose approval still shapes your decisions at 40. The partner whose mood still determines whether your day was good. The friend whose silence still ruins your afternoon. The colleague whose comment still lives inside your head 3 weeks after it was made. The stranger whose disapproving look on the street still echoes in your body an hour later. They did not steal your power. You handed it to them. Not because you are weak, because no one taught you how power is transferred, and so you gave it away without knowing what you were doing. This ends now. In this speech, you will learn how people acquire power over your interior in the first place. You will learn the exact hooks they use, most of them unconsciously, to make your peace dependent on their behavior. You will learn how to remove those hooks one by one from the inside of your own mind. And you will learn how to build the kind of interior no one can enter again without your permission. But be careful. Once you take your power back, you will begin to see everyone in your life differently. You will notice which relationships were built on your smallness and which were built on your realness. You will notice which friendships require your continued diminishment to survive. You will notice which family patterns depended on your reliable reactions to keep functioning. And some of those relationships will end, not because you attacked them, but because they were never designed to hold the person you are becoming. That is the cost of permanent freedom. Pay it. The first thing you must understand is how power actually transfers. It does not transfer through words. It does not transfer through actions. It transfers through your reaction to their words and actions. Someone says something to you, nothing has happened yet. The words are just sound waves crossing a room. Then, inside you, something moves. A tightening, a quickening, a recognition. And in that internal movement, the sound waves become a wound. The wound becomes proof that they can hurt you. The proof becomes a permission slip. And now they have power. They did not earn it. They only tested for it. You confirmed it with your reaction. The interior of another person is a locked room. No one can enter it without the resident opening the door. And the door is opened every time by your reaction. Reaction is the key. Reaction is the invitation. Reaction is the small agreement inside you that says, yes, what you did to me matters. Yes, what you said to me lands. Yes, I am open. Come in, disturb me. Stop opening the door. Not through effort, not through defiance, not through pretending you did not hear them. Simply through no longer treating their input as important enough to move you. This shift is quieter than you expect. There is no announcement. There is no dramatic scene. There is only one day, an interaction that would have destroyed you a year ago. And this time you notice calmly that nothing happened inside you. The words entered the room. The words met a person who no longer had the reflex to receive them. The words left and you continued. That is the first time you will feel it. That is the first time you will understand that the door was always yours. The people who lose their power over you are not the people you defeat. They are the people you stop reacting to. And you do not stop reacting through willpower. You stop reacting through a slow understanding that they were never big enough to move you in the first place, and that you have been performing their bigness for them out of habit for a very long time. Now hear this. The second way people gain power over you is by becoming the mirror through which you check your own worth. Look at this closely. When you meet someone new, part of you is watching them for a signal. Do they approve of me? Do they find me interesting? Do they like the way I speak, the way I look, the way I laugh? And based on their signal, something inside you either lifts or contracts You leave the interaction with a small verdict on yourself, and the verdict was voted on by them, not by you. This is how power is transferred wholesale. You have made them the judge of your own inner court. You have handed them the gavel of your self-worth. You have agreed, without noticing, that their read of you is the accurate read, and yours is only a guess that needs their confirmation. The moment you stop doing this, they lose the gavel. They do not lose it because you take it back with force. They lose it because you have realized that you were the one holding it the entire time, and that you were only pretending out of a lifelong habit that it belonged to them. The mirror they used to be dims. Their reflection of you becomes just another opinion, one of many, in a world full of opinions, most of which will disagree with each other. You stop weighing their verdict more heavily than your own knowing. And in that reweighting, their power quietly evaporates. You did not attack them. You simply stopped consulting them about your existence. Hear this next truth. The third way people gain power over you is by becoming characters in the story you tell yourself. Watch your mind for a day. Notice how much of your inner speech is directed towards specific people. Notice how many arguments you rehearse with someone who is not in the room. Notice how many imagined conversations you conduct with a person who has not thought about you in weeks. Notice how many decisions you make with an invisible audience in mind, an audience made of specific faces from your past. Every one of those faces is a person you have imported into your interior. They live there now, rent-free, using your energy, occupying your attention, shaping your mood without ever being present. You did this. You installed them, and you can uninstall them. This takes time. It does not happen in a single sitting. But every time you catch your mind rehearsing an argument with an absent person, gently, without anger, return your attention to what is actually in front of you. Every time you notice your mood shifting because of an imagined conversation, notice it without shame and return to the present. The people in your head are not really them. They are constructions your mind has built to keep processing something that was never finished. You do not need to finish it with them. You need to finish it with yourself by slowly removing them from the seats they installed in your interior and by learning to sit in your own mind without their company. Understand this deeply. The room is yours. You can decide over time who is allowed to live there. Now, the fourth power transfer. You give people power over you by needing something specific from them. This is the deepest hook of all. If you need their approval, they have power. If you need their validation, they have power. If you need their attention, their apology, their love, their inclusion, their acknowledgement, their explanation, they have power. The need is the leash. As long as the need exists, the leash exists. And the person on the other end of the leash does not even have to hold it. They just have to know it is there, and they can walk in any direction they like, knowing you will follow. There are two ways to end the leash. The first is to find another source for what you were demanding. If you needed love from a specific person, but you can find love from many places, the specific person loses their power. If you needed approval from a specific voice, but you can generate approval from within yourself, the specific voice loses its power. Diversify your sources, and no single source can dominate you. The second, deeper way is to stop needing the thing altogether. Some of what you have been demanding from others, you never actually needed. You only thought you did. You wanted their approval because you did not yet trust your own judgment. You wanted their love because you did not yet love yourself. You wanted their attention because you had not yet made peace with your own silence. The deeper you go into your own foundation, the fewer external needs you carry, and the fewer external needs you carry, the fewer people can move you. This is not detachment. This is completion. You are not becoming cold to the world. You are becoming whole enough that the world's inputs are welcome but not required. Now hear this. The fifth way people gain power over you is by consuming your attention. Attention is a currency. Attention is a form of energy. Attention is the most valuable thing you own, and most people spend it worse than they spend their money. You may think you are losing to a person because they hurt you, betrayed you, disappointed you. But the deeper truth is that you are losing to them because you cannot stop thinking about them. They lost interest in you months ago and moved on with their life. And you are still here, giving them the finest hours of your day in your own head, without their knowledge or consent. They have your attention. They stopped needing it long ago. You are still supplying it at your own cost. The reclamation of your power begins with the reclamation of your attention, not perfectly, not immediately, but slowly, deliberately, with the discipline of a man who has finally understood that his mind is the last country he owns, and that country has been invaded for too long. You reclaim it by returning to your work. You reclaim it by returning to your breath. You reclaim it by returning to the small, real objects in front of you. The cup, the door frame, the tree, the light on the wall, until the imagined faces in your head fade back to where they belong. Every hour you spend inside your own real life is an hour you did not give to them. And every hour you did not give to them is an hour their occupation of you weakens. Do this long enough and the occupation ends. Not through a great battle, through the quiet daily reclamation of an attention that was always yours. Understand this next line. You are not obligated to keep thinking about them. You may believe you are. You may believe that continuing to think about the injury is a form of respect for what happened to you. You may believe that letting the thought fade would be a betrayal of the seriousness of what they did. This is a trick your mind plays on you. The seriousness of what happened is honored in the change it produces in you, not in the number of hours you dedicate to reliving it. The most respectful thing you can do for the version of you who was hurt is to build a life so full and so present that the injury no longer has room to live inside it every day. That is the reclamation. You are not forgetting, you are outgrowing. Now understand the sixth transfer. You give people power over you by fearing their departure. This is subtle. You may not consciously fear their departure. You may not even like them. But somewhere inside you, a small part of you is still afraid of what happens if they leave, if they cut ties, if they decide they are done with you. That fear is a lever. They do not have to pull it for it to work. They only have to know it exists. And something in the way they move around you changes. They speak with slightly more confidence. They make slightly more demands. They receive your kindness with slightly less gratitude, because your fear of losing them has told them, without words, that they can take you for granted. The fear ends when you make peace with the loss. You must be able to imagine the person leaving and remain standing, not with pretend indifference, not with performance, but with an honest, sober acceptance that if they go, you will grieve, you will feel it, and you will still be alive on the other side. You will still have your work, you will still have your body, you will still have your capacity for connection. You will still have a whole life that does not require them to authorize its continuation. This is not coldness. This is sovereignty. The moment you can imagine their absence and remain intact, their presence loses its leverage. They can no longer control you with the threat of leaving, because the threat has been disarmed on your side. They may still leave. That is not the point. The point is that their leaving no longer functions as a weapon. You have taken the weapon out of their hand by refusing to let it work. Notice what has happened here. You did not confront them. You did not tell them you were done being afraid. You did not stage a moment where you announced your new independence. The disarmament was entirely internal. It took place in a series of quiet mornings when you sat with the possibility of their departure and, instead of running from it, allowed it to be real. And each time you allowed it, the fear grew smaller. And each time the fear grew smaller, the leverage in their hands weakened until, without either of you naming it, the balance of the relationship shifted. You did the work alone. The change appeared in the world without any conversation. That is how permanent transfers of power actually happen. Now the seventh and deepest transfer. You give people power over you by making the past sacred. Watch this carefully. The person who wronged you keeps power because you keep the memory alive. The parent who neglected you keeps power because you replay the neglect. The lover who broke you keeps power because you rehearse the breaking. The friend who betrayed you keeps power because you keep the betrayal warm in your mind, examining it, turning it over, refusing to let it go cold. Refusing to let it go cold is the last leash. The memory does not need to be forgotten. That is impossible, and it is not the goal. The memory needs to become cold. Not gone, cold. It happened. You survived it. It shaped you. And it is not currently happening. Most of the suffering you experience today is not the original injury. It is the daily rehearsal of the original injury inside your own mind. You are the one keeping it warm. They are not warming it. They are not thinking about you. They have moved on to their own lives, their own dinners, their own bedtimes, their own small distractions. You are the only person still living in that room. And the only person who can leave it is you. Understand what this means. You have been in a fight with a ghost. The person who wronged you is no longer swinging. They are somewhere else entirely, doing something else entirely. Unaware of the war you are still fighting on their behalf. You have been shadowboxing an empty corner of your own mind, using energy that should have been feeding your future and mistaking the exhaustion of that shadowboxing for justice. There is no justice in that room. There is only theft. Theft of your years, of your evenings, of your rest, of your capacity to be present with the people who actually love you today. Leaving is not forgiveness. It is refusal. You refuse to keep paying rent in a room your enemies vacated years ago. You refuse to keep tending a wound that was not made this morning. You refuse to keep offering your finest hours to a version of your life that is already behind you. The past loses its power the day you stop reheating it. Not through some dramatic ritual, not through a single act of forgiveness. Through the daily, small choice to not follow the mind when it returns to the old room, and to return instead to whatever is real in the present moment, again and again and again, until the old room fades from your daily geography. Now hear this. When you have done this work, when the reaction has calmed, when the mirror has dimmed, when the imported people have been removed, when the needs have been sourced from within, when the attention has been reclaimed, when the fear of loss has been dissolved, when the past has been allowed to go cold, something extraordinary happens. You cannot be moved, not because you are hard, not because you are unfeeling, not because you have shut down, but because there is no longer an exposed surface for the world to grip. The hooks that used to catch on you have been dissolved from the inside. The levers that used to work no longer connect to anything real. The people who used to manage you find themselves standing in front of a person they can no longer manage. And the strangest thing is, they are not even angry about it. They are quiet, they are still, they are polite. Because a man who cannot be moved does not incite the small aggressions that a movable man does. The world stops trying, not because it has surrendered, because it has recognized in some silent language older than words that there is nothing here to gain. That is what freedom looks like from the outside. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just a man who walks through his days without a single string leading from his interior to anyone else's hand, and whose calm is not a technique but a structure built over years of small refusals to hand himself away. Now begin the practice. Begin with one hook today. The one relationship where you feel the leash most tightly. The one person whose reaction still runs your evening. The one voice in your head that you already know does not belong there. Do not try to remove them all at once. Do not try to become invulnerable in a weekend. Choose one and begin slowly to notice the exact mechanics of how they have power over you. Do you react to them faster than you react to anyone else? That is a hook. Do you check their mood more often than your own? That is a hook. Do you rehearse conversations with them in your head? That is a hook. Do you dress differently, speak differently, choose different words when you know they will see or hear? That is a hook. Do you delay your own decisions until you have imagined how they will react? That is a hook. Do you feel a small drop in your chest when their name appears on your screen? That is a hook. Notice the hooks without shame. The shame is what kept them attached for so long. Notice, breathe, and gently, over weeks, begin to loosen each one, not by fighting, by returning your attention to yourself again and again whenever it drifts toward them, until the connection between their existence and your interior weather grows so thin that it eventually snaps on its own. This is not a technique. This is a return. You are returning to the person you were before the world convinced you that your peace could be held by other people's hands. And when the return is complete, when the last hook has dissolved, you will find yourself in an unfamiliar quiet with a strange new gravity, in a life that is finally yours, run by no one, owned by no one, moved by no one but you. That is what it means to take your power back permanently. Not to win against them, not to defeat them, not to prove anything to them. Just to become someone whose interior no longer has a door that they know how to open. Understand this final truth. You did not become powerful by fighting. You did not become powerful by being right. You did not become powerful by winning any of the arguments you used to imagine winning. You became powerful by quietly removing yourself from the game entirely on the inside, where no one else could see the removal and no one else could stop it. That is the only kind of power that stays. Every power that depends on the world's cooperation can be taken back by the world. Every power that depends on being seen, being respected, being feared, can vanish the moment the audience turns its head. But the power that lives in the quiet architecture of your own interior, the power that comes from an inside no one else can enter, that power is yours forever, because it does not require any external condition to remain. Walk into that life, do not explain it, do not narrate it, do not announce it. Simply live in it, day after day, until the people who used to move you look up one day, notice you across the room, and realize in the moment of quiet understanding that the man they used to reach is no longer standing where they left him, and they no longer remember the road that used to lead to him. That road has grown over. The house is quiet. The power has come home, and you are the only one who lives there now.